Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Sharma, to be here with us. As been told by the ATHI website, you are the CEO and Manager Director of ATHI, and it's great to have you here as the Managing Director of ATHI as well as the parent of a trans person. So, yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah, so the biggest qualification is to be a parent, and being parent of a special person who has the courage to assert what they are to the world, that makes me very proud. And I think uh, that is what prompted us to set up this organization. We worked from right to get the professionals together to understand gender ourselves, and then we reached out to people who know. And what we have tried to do is we are trying to get what all has already happened, uh, in the sense that what is scientific, what progress has been made even in social sciences for inclusivity. We are trying to get all that thing together by taking what is known as a public health approach. That means you don't look at only one aspect of diversity, but you look at both the needs, which may be medical and which are largely social. And you try to get this whole package together, and you try to amalgamate diversity in the social setup. So it is not about saying that we need to do include people as a separate sect, but we need to weave this diversity into the fabric of society, so that we can get the best. There cannot be progress without taking the entire spectrum together. And really, it will be very boring to have a binary world. That that really would not help us go any forwards. So that is what we are trying to do. Uh, yeah, so that's where I am.
That's great. That's great. And how has the journey been of ATHI and what it is doing right now?
Okay, so we got incorporated on 1st November 2018, and before ATHI came to existence, actually came into existence. KHEM is an acronym for Knowledge, Healthcare, Empowerment, and Mainstreaming. And this is what we as a family set out to do. We wanted knowledge about gender to be, be there in all strata of society. And but what I realized was that just doing education alone would not help. And if we are looking at the H, E, and M part of KHEM, then we have to get the government on board. We have to get the professionals on board, and also, most importantly, we need to be trustworthy. We need to be transparent. And I myself, being 3 decades in the defense forces, I used to become very uncomfortable when people would talk about, NGOs or, and then you would keep reading in the papers that, this goes wrong, that goes wrong. And when I looked at how an NGO works, I found that maybe I need to be more transparent than a NGO, because this is something that I felt I, as a parent, needed. I needed the society to understand my child, to understand my family. And for that, I did not want any ambiguity to be there. So, thanks to my management training, I knew that there is a Section 8 company which can be set up. And what is best is that this is registered with the government. So we need to be transparent in whatever we are doing. So and once we are there, then we can work independent of the politics that is there in the country. Because if you have a NGO, then you are, somehow you get your intentions may be good, but then that drive is from the government. So I said, with a NPO on the other hand, or a Section 8 company, there was no compulsion for me to align with anybody on whether it be politics or any other thing that you can think of. So we set up ATHI in 2018. And the first thing we started doing was to get the professionals together. And 1st November 2019, we had our first international conference, and we had themed it, demystifying gender, addressing felt need. And the reason why we chose this theme was that we wanted the professionals to tell what they are doing. Now, herein we have a subject, or we have some interventions which are being done only in the private sector. There's nothing being done in the public sector. Only people who have money or who are privileged can hope to get some form of medical help, so to say. And that too, for that, they need to fight gatekeeping, which is done by people who profess to know how you would need to transition, or what really needs to be done. And each of these professionals, instead of working in a team, which is the norm for transgender healthcare, because transgender healthcare, when we talk about, though it says transgender healthcare, but it means healthcare for people with diversity, then it has to be a teamwork. It cannot be done by saying that, okay, I have done one small course and I've got this nurse, and okay, so I set up shop and I start doing what I want, because my so-called client has very little idea of what they want. So I can do what I want, and there is just no regulation. There is the government has not put anything in place to say that, okay, this is the qualification which sets you to uh, practice transgender healthcare. And as we were talking informally, and you said that mental health is a big part of care that people require. And I resonate with that, because see, today's world, even with people who are privileged, or who do not face the kind of challenges that people with diversity face, they too need mental health. And mental health in our country is absent. We have untrained people who have the gift of the gab, and they are setting up shops and holding on to people, not allowing them to go forwards. uh, it is it is a very commercial kind of setting. So if we were to get this structure in place, then we had to put the professionals in front of the community. So in this international convention that we did, we got help from unexpected quarters. I'll just share an anecdote with you. And so while we were planning this conference, we thought of doing it like any other medical conference, and we wanted to look at a hotel where this could be done. And during our talks with various people, in fact, we had paid money to Radisson Blue to book the place and get the place done. But we were very uncomfortable, because only people with money would be there in that case. So while I was having these kind of discussions, I met a very fine person called Dr. Shibu John, and Dr. Shibu John happened to be the head of the public health, the healthcare management of Jamia Hamdard. And he said, Sanjay, you come to Jamia Hamdard and you have a look at our convention hall and all, and see what is to what you can do. And I went with apprehension. I said, like, look, I've already gone and put money there, and we have these plastic surgeons, and we have people from abroad who are going to be coming. Uh, and would they like to go to an institute and do the convention there? And what about accommodation? What about the creature comforts and all? But then what, when I spoke over there and the attitude that was there, that welcoming thing, where the university just opened its arms to me. Dr. Shibu took me to the dean of the medical college, and this is all in one day. We have met. I've gone over there. He says, "Come now, let's go and meet the dean." And then he talks to the vice chancellor. The vice chancellor tells, "Okay, you're going nowhere. You shift this side." I said, "I've put money down to Radisson Blue." He says, "Okay, that's sunk. Just don't worry about it." But they gave me a platform, and it was phenomenal, because once I was in the university, I was able to get the government officials there. I was able to get the academicians over there, and we had about 200 people who came in. I had a lot of help from students of Jamia. The community came in. They found this to be accessible, and we had a international level conference, which set the seed for developing the Indian standards of care. And at that uh, conference, the vice chancellor, in his closing remarks, he made a commitment. He said, henceforth, all ATHI conferences will be done in Jamia Hamdard. I was taken aback. I said, look at the magnanimity of this person. Did he understand gender? No. Did he know the the alphabets that are in the LGBTQAIPP plus? No. But what he said, see, this is something which you are doing to make human beings comfortable, and that is what we want to do. And we then announced the Indian Standards of Care. For one full year, we worked on the Indian Standards of Care. 2020, 2020, we had the Indian Standards of Care out. And this time we had an online international conference, and we had, which was more successful than the one which we did, the physical one. And we had the community coming in, and the best thing is that the result of this international conference has been that NACO started listening to us. NACO had been associated with us from 2018. So 1920, gradually we muted the idea of the public health approach. We got talking to UNAID, CDC, Jamia Hamdard. Uh, Meantime, I also was educating myself. I got in touch with WPATH. uh, I got elected as a board member there. And this week we are going to be talking to the director AIMS, and we are talking about setting up a center of excellence there. A center of excellence which will be the teaching place for transgender health. You know, both as a medical and a social vertical. Now, this is something, it's a dream come true. And India would be one of the first countries where the government would has taken this step of investing in people with diversity, and looking at or listening to us to say that if you're going to be doing transgender health, then it has to be done completely. We need primary care, we need secondary care, we need tertiary care, we need preventive health, we need people who would be looking at companionship, who would be looking at reproductive and sexual health. And all this needs to be done parallelly with whatever medical structure is there, because we are not dealing with patients, we are dealing with a subset of normal human beings. We need to do this much to get them back into our fabric, so that tomorrow, if there is a family who has a child who takes the courage and says, look, this is what I feel inside, that family should be comfortable. That family should believe the narrative. That family should have other families like Swikar, the parent support group that we have, who would stand and would say, okay, fine, just don't worry. This is not something which is abnormal. This is not something which is, your bad karma or, wrath of gods or whatever. Like, this is no disease. All this needs to do is it is diversity. This is something that you have been blinded by the binary system. It was always there. When we look at our culture, it was always there. uh, it is no fault of ours that people found us to be so attractive that they rode miles across rough terrain to come and try and annex us. They sailed seas to come and plunder the riches that we had, and they imposed a very binary system onto us. Today, if you have a person who says he's educated, then he'd be probably speaking in English like me. And we have been fragmented. This is all a fallout of that oppression which has happened, and I think we need to reconnect. And when we get this center of excellence, we are going to be talking about a gender affirmative care clinic wherein we will have a standalone one-stop place. Today, if the government has made a act, howsoever bad or good it may be, that's a separate issue. But then it has shown intent. If it has made a portal where it says, okay, there is access to something which can be done, then we have that wherewithal to get this all in one place and make sure that this center that comes up would be state of art, would be owned by a autonomous body like AIMS, which has got that academic credibility. And the beautiful part is that this experiment, if you so call it, uh, would lay the seed for 22 other gender affirmative care clinics, which will just take this template and take it all over the country. We will also benefit because as we are doing this, a lot of our friends in the community are making smaller centers. They are trying to do things on their own. And once you have this center of excellence, then we can get them here, train them, and then let them do what they are doing. I think this is a very important step that we will be having a trustworthy place. Because if you that's how I've seen society, that if there are two doctors and one happens to be from AIMS, I would rather go to that AIMS wala pada likha doctor than go to somebody who comes from a place which is not known. Also, since it is going to be a effort, or since it is a result of an effort wherein for the first time NACO uh, took the voices of the community. I have been attending the meetings that happened in NACO, and it was never that it is one-sided. They are they did agree that okay, we were looking at HIV, we were looking at people with diversity through the prism of AIDS or AIDS control, and that is why this organization is set up. But then, we have people in this organization. Dr. Shobani, who is the Deputy Director General of NACO. The Director General of NACO is a person called Ms. Aarti Ahuja. And this person has got that vision, which he says that no, this issue, which is a result of behavior, of human behavior, does require a public health approach. And she called for all representatives. So we had people from the entire spectrum of LGBTQAI plus, along with people from Sathi Alliance and the transgender community, who sat in that meeting and gave inputs. Just yes, today, yeah, today a presentation has been made to the National Medical Council, wherein a curriculum for introduction in the medical curriculum has been talked about, and already the undergrad and the postgraduate the bureaucrats who are to deal with this medical education in undergraduate and postgraduate courses, they are looking at what we have sent them, and hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years we will be seeing doctors who would be knowing gender. We would have young people who would not look at a person with diversity and wonder what this person is up to, you know because a lot of baggage comes from the caregiver, and that is so off-putting to a person who needs it most. If the experts or so-called knowledgeable people do not exhibit friendliness, then this person is going to ask another person like him who probably does not have the knowledge to handle stuff. Uh, just today, I got a call from one of uh, this person is a transmasculine person, and coming from Agra, heart of UP. And you can imagine the kind of societal pressures that this person is facing. This person is has already crossed 40, has found a partner, and now they are wondering that can we have children? And when they ask me as a medical personnel that can science do this, and I say yes, it can. But at the second breath, I have to tell them that it is only if you have a lot of money to do this. And why have you now woken up to this? Why hasn't somebody talked about this when you were, younger, or probably, before the decision for starting hormones was done? Or before we we gave in to your wish to remove organs? Is it ethical to deny advances that have been made by science? I don't think so. And this is the narrative that ATHI wants to push. Uh, we now need people in the government to uh, wake up. We need the community to come up and uh, demand. Like if the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act says that provisions have to be made in 2 years, we should be asking them that what are you doing to achieve this goal? I think that is a very valid line of thinking, or I don't think it is unreasonable to ask them that okay, you've done a great thing by getting this act, and when you say that the teachers need to know, then what have you done to make that possible? Is there any has this been added in the curriculum that is being learned by B.Ed graduates or M.Ed people, or does the education system have some courses that they're going to do? Have you tried to explore the idea that maybe the community is the best teacher, and maybe they would be able to probably help us in telling that what would make them comfortable. I don't think this is rocket science. I think this is a, a big dollop of common sense. You know, uh, if I want to do something for you, I need you to tell me what you want. I need to listen to you. That is probably the first step. If I don't do that and I start designing stuff without getting those inputs, then however good that stuff may be in my mind, it is not going to succeed. So where are those steps? This is something that I, as a parent, feel uh, are important issues which need to be brought out to the fore. And we want the community to ask us that, okay, so in this center of excellence, where uh, are the needs of the community being looked at? And it is for us, the onus is on us to then say yes, definitely not only the present needs but the future needs have also been worked into a system. We need to own up and say that yes, it may not be perfect. uh, by all means it may not be perfect, but then if you come on and you help us sort of sandpaper it into a smoother thing, maybe do the course corrections, then we'll have a beautiful system going in. And here is a chance for us to reclaim diversity. If I can see diversity displayed on my temple walls, uh, mm, that is what people in this subcontinent, uh, that is what is there in our DNA. And that is what we need to reclaim. We need to say that, look, uh, your culture and your standards of care may be okay for you, but I need an Indian standard of care. I need the Indian culture and context to be done. The visible part of diversity is just the tip of the iceberg. I need to understand this. A large number of children do not come out. They start closeting as early as 2 to 5 years of age, in kindergarten, because their narrative is not heard. And it is only a very minuscule amount of people who when they are thrown out or they decide to move out, it is only then that they become visible. Being a parent, I feel that my child should never feel the need to step out of my home, because I may be harsh, I may be uh, not communicating, or may not be that good, but then I am better than other people who are out there. And out there, it's a big bad world. That is a fact of life. We have very nice people too, and my appeal to all these nice people is to come together, and let's get this place to be a better place where all of us can live with dignity. uh, and dignity is something which is as vital for life as is oxygen, because that is what defines how happy you can be in a community, in a society. So that is where we are. I can speak for us. So I, you'll have to tell me if there is something more, or
Yeah, so you're talking about like how different segments of the society actually play a huge role in creating these systems of care, right?
yeah, yeah.
So according to you, which are the major stakeholders of creating such spaces, and how can they do it, especially the family of the person?
Okay, so I keep going back to this Indian standards of care, because the mental health section is very special in this Indian standards of care. And we have started this by saying that the issue is social. And what we have said is that the society needs to now understand and start acting. So we have said that for mental health, or for a person to be comfortable, like let us even take away the word mental health, because that itself becomes a place you associate with people who may not fit into a definition of normalcy. So if I want to be comfortable, then it is the responsibility of caregivers firstly. And in caregivers, I put parents, I put primary medical caregivers. So that is the family doctor, the family nurse, the ASHA worker, the primary school teacher, the counselor, the educational institute where the child spends a majority of his life. When we look at the time span that a child spends as they grow up, then the child is probably more at home only till 2 years of age. Thereafter, a large part of his waking hours are spent in the care of others. So, all those others need to make the environment friendly and nurturing. So, school teachers, and especially primary school teachers, need to be trained in gender. They need to know diversity. They need to stop, pushing the binary. You need to do that. It is not something which is desirable. I would say this is mandatory. The primary caregiver should know what is the route that this child may take if the child so desires. The point here is that we now know that whatever a human being desires, the science has the ability to give that. But it has to be as per the desire of the individual. So the person needs to be in the driving seat. So if it is dysphoria that we are looking to prevent, then we need to do affirmative and participative care. And those of us who uh, I, you know know a little more about diversity than other people, I would be wrong to say that, and I would never say that people understand diversity, because this is something which cannot be understood. It has to be enjoyed. It's just like a painting that is put behind you. Each person who looks at this would enjoy the colors in a different way. There is really nothing to understand. It is more to accept. So you have to do affirmative care, and you have to participate in this care along with the individual who is asking for care. There are a number of studies which come from the West and also in India, which are from people where their narrative was believed. They have not undergone hormones, they have not undergone surgery. Only thing that has happened is that the primary caregivers have said, okay, fine, if this is what you think is what you wish to be, or this is what comes to your mind, we are okay with this. Just doing this affirmation produces better results. And what are better results? It is not that this person makes more money. No, this person is contributing to making a better society. So this person would probably, if that person so desires, become a doctor, become an engineer, become a bus driver, or become a contractor, design beautiful buildings. Because this load of trying to defend diversity is taken off from him. So the person develops into a better individual. He adds that color which is very much needed to make the society vibrant. Affirmative participative care starting from homes, schools, educational institutes, very important. The workplaces need to uh, understand that it is not saying that I am inclusive. That is not enough. That is not the way to go. It is to say that I am comfortable. I will participate in what your needs are as a team. I will not have, days which I will, put some slogans and, have some signage which says that, yes, my workplace is inclusive. I will do that as I do it in my home. And being friendly is no rocket science. It doesn't require anything. All it requires is intent. And if you can uh, convey your intent to allow the person to be what they are by your language, by taking calling out the name that the person is wants, by not probing and allowing your curiosity to get the better of you, but to wait to be included. If I have a friend, I don't intrude into his space unless my friend gives me permission to do so. And friends do give permission. No, that's what friends are all about. And if we can work this in our workplaces, because that is another very big area where we want to get in. Initially, what is happening, and which uh, you know I see as something which is which may be good, but could be not too good also. That there are only certain areas where we say, okay, diversity is welcome. There is a sort of follow one direction. Somebody opens up a metro station where people get with diversity are there, and then everybody just wants to do that. Oh, it is not that. It has to be with a wider thing where you say that yes, we have understood, or we are making an effort to understand. We, even more than understanding, are ready to accept, be comfortable. Then automatically we will see a amalgamation. We will see, like my colleague who's sitting with me and probably helping me operate. You know, I'm looking at the skills that that person is getting to the table, not at his earrings or what expression this person brings. I would then want that uh, you know uh, what work we put to society, that is what is celebrated, and that is what is demanded. We have places where we have very nice programs, and then we have narratives where people do not, again they have a different kind of discrimination, where they do not demand the work from the diverse person, because they feel that if they do that, they probably, it would not be politically correct to do that. Now, if you're not going to demand work from me, then I am not going to produce it. And then you are the same person who's going to turn back and say that, look, if you want results, then these are not the people that we need to go to. I don't want that narrative to come in. I want this narrative to come in. And if we have to do that, then gender studies, as we say, it needs to be done as the gender spectrum studies and not just women. Because right now, when we say gender studies, we are studying feminism, or again a binary. When we do this in our universities, when we do this through our centers of excellences, and then we will automatically inherently have people who would be speaking the right language, who would know that the norm of politeness is not to wait for the other person to first give his name, but then it is more polite to state your name and your preferences, so that the other person is comfortable doing the same to you. And this is what we as doctors learned when we were doing our pediatric residencies, where if you wanted to be comfortable with the child, then you first told your name to that child. Have you forgotten that? If it worked there, will it not work here? So a lot of it is something which flows from the educational institutes, from education in the wider sense, not in getting degrees, but in getting in widening your intellectual abilities, in giving you a wider landscape to work on, to do skill development, and be comfortable with more and more people, because the more people you are comfortable with, the more vibrant your team is, the better will be your output. This is something which even a housewife knows, right? If she wants her house to be clean, then she takes the whole house along. Each member is allowed to express and be themselves, and then she gives it to each member too. Like my mother would pull up my ears, like god uh, bless her and let her soul rest in peace. But till her uh, till she was able, she never lost the opportunity to pull my ears, yeah. And I loved her for that. I never had a issue with this. And I think that is the kind of society that we need. And all this will only come if each one of us does our role. And herein, if you go by statistics, then diverse people who are out are lesser in number. Hence, it becomes the privilege of people who are larger in number to extend a helping hand. Don't wait for them to ask. You know, this is the privilege. Don't lose that privilege of stepping out. Because if you, I keep coming back to children because I find that this is the best stage that one can be. And if you see a child, your first instinct is to go and assist the child in, being more comfortable, being happier than you, and that never pains you. That never pains you. In fact, that adds to your joy. So I think what message we should be giving to the larger majority is that, hey, connect back to your magnanimity. Yeah? You're going to be happier. And yeah, step out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we're talking about, like, of course, training the primary caregivers. We are
Yes.
talking about, like, giving them access to the resources. In your experience, what has been the biggest hindrance in, like, the caregivers accessing these useful resources or getting trained?
So the biggest hindrance in any program is actually the person on ground and their understanding of the issue. It is also their learned experience or the history that they come back. They are not ready to let go of that history unless the policymaker makes provisions that henceforth you will need to change. A simple thing like we want pollution to be controlled, then you better get a pollution certificate for your gadi. Otherwise, the gadi will not be allowed to move. So, if we want the primary caregivers to take up this training, come out of their comfort zone. A primary school teacher who in this country is a person who does not need to be very knowledgeable. All that person needs to know is how to probably care for children a little bit, probably just do the ABC and a few nursery rhymes. That is the common perception. Now why should a teacher go and change that and make her own life miserable? Isn't it easier to sit down and agree to what is the larger majority is saying? If you want this teacher to start learning, to start attending trainings, then the policymaker has to say that this course is mandatory. This course is linked to your salary. This certification is going to make you desirable to earn more money. You know, this certification is going to get you recognition. Uh, and if we do this, then we will have these trainings coming in. By just writing, a small paragraph in the education policy about saying be inclusive, and also saying that okay, there is a separate fund for doing that, and mentioning transgender only 6 times in that entire document, and also conveying to the people who read this document that actually we just mean trans feminine. Trans masculine is something which doesn't require anything. Anyways, it is not an essential part. If my lack of knowledge is getting conveyed in a document as important as a policy document, then there is something wrong. So what we need to do is move both ways. Whatever is written, make sure that that gets implemented. And whosoever has written that, we go back and give them an opportunity to rewrite it. And this has to be done in a friendly manner. This has to be done in a fashion that they understand. We need to applaud the fact that these people have stepped out of their comfort zones and at least have put these stepping stones in place. At least he has put transgender 6 times in the policy. At least he's put one small paragraph of diversity in the education policy. At least he's given a fund. So if we are able to tell them, use this fund, go train those people. Make sure that people are not dropping out. Understand that the reason for dropping out of the education system for children with diversity is not economic weakness. It is not because this person is from some minority religion or caste or anything. It is because this child is getting a tough time by not only the peer groups, their peer group in that education institute, but the person who the individual places next to the parents who are supposed to help this individual navigate school. And I know how tough school can be. If you are wearing spectacles and large part of your peer group doesn't, you've had it. If you are slightly chubby, you've had it. If you're tall, you've had it. If you're short, you've had it. When we have that human tendency to push away what is not like us, and this is so strong in schools. And if we have a teacher who's not ready to take on that role of understanding of preventing this, then these people are going to drop out. Are they going to come back to the system? No, they cannot, because you have now created an education system which is very tight. There are no lateral entry points. The lateral entry points that you're talking about are only on paper. When you have a child who's not performing well, maybe for something that you classify as a learning disability, but I classify as the inability of the teacher to teach, this person has to move out from this educational institute into a place which is made for people like them. It is this that we have to address, and that will happen only through uh, educating the policy makers. Maybe you can take a lead and say that, okay, let's all go to uh, Dehradun and go to the academy where the IS officers are trained, and let's talk about diversity with them, man. You know, let them those young people understand diversity. After all, they studied so much. They read books and they went through so much of angst to reach there, because the person who is to give your gender identity documentation, the DC of the place, when this application reaches this person and he has zero understanding of diversity, then this application is just going to keep bouncing up and down like a yo-yo. So you need to go and address them. You need to make sure that the people who are in positions uh, of being able to make the change or accelerate the change, they are supported in doing that. So if I find one person who's ready to listen, I must, you know, take that person as an ally and participate in the journey with this person. It is that participation uh, which will help us. And activism is very much required, but even more than activism, I think advocacy is required. Uh, it is how we, use the best of uh, the vantage point that we own, and use that to put out our hands to uh, get in. Because see, after all, if you take any field, and whether it be social sciences or pure sciences research, it is the outliers who were there, who did that, you know. And if that progress has happened, if today we are speaking through Zoom, then we have this geek who's glued to the screen and has done these algorithms and written these fantastic programs, who has got us there. While we were playing outside, this person was comfortable doing this. When we travel and when we look at art, or we have a nice meal, uh, all this is only possible when we embrace diversity. Not if we are going to say that this is against nature. This is one dialogue which I think needs to be very strongly contested. And see, like, if you really have opened your window and looked at nature, you would not see one leaf which is the same as the other. You would see the same bush which will have different colored flowers. You would not see the right side of your body which matches the left side of your body. You know, you would not find one thumbprint which matches another. This is nature. How can we then have a binary world, and how can we be happy doing that? And are we going to continue being blind? I I I I would not like to be blind. I would like to enjoy the colors that are shown to me. Uh, Maybe I didn't see them earlier, right? Now that is something which I did not know. But now that I know, I need to make sure that everybody else can also enjoy this. And uh, that has been the driving force for ATHI. That has been our vision statement, where we say that we wish that each human form, whatever maybe in whatever form they are there, would be enjoying equal privileges and would be living a life of dignity. So this is our core philosophy. And yes, we are the Association for Transgender Health, but the health that we are talking about is a holistic health. We are talking about well-being, and well-being is something which is not owned by patients. Well-being is for human beings, right? And it has to be not only physical well-being, it has to be mental well-being, it has to be social well-being. In fact, it has to be spiritual well-being too. So that is the kind of health that ATHI wants to push forward. And
Yeah.
really, I'm blessed to be talking to you. And when I set out to do this, I thought that it would be a very difficult journey. But this past 3 years have introduced me to beautiful human beings who have reached out. They have come from unexpected quarters, and today I'm able to uh, sit down with the bureaucrats and at least show them uh, what parents would want. Because see, family is the first brick of society, and parents make that family. Uh, it is, everything else flows from that. If what I have brought out of love into the world, I can nurture that to bloom, then I succeed as a family. And if I succeed as a family and the family next to me also succeeds, my society succeeds. So that is the greater vision that we want to talk about and push.
Thank you actually for saying such kind words. It was really informative, and I mean, of course, thank you. Um, I have never heard a parent of a queer person say such words, so thank
I,
you
I
for that.
learned,
Yeah,
I learned,
yeah.
and I'll share with you, that learning was not easy. And I'll share this. I'll be honest with you. I fell off my horse, because I was galloping across in a binary world. I had to pause and I had to listen. I had to take a pause. I had to uh, try to see where all we failed, because my child was not meant to be unhappy. I don't think any child is meant to be unhappy. No parent wants that. But then, a parent relies on others to give them reassurance. When you become a parent and you have your little one who's, sneezes 2 times more than what you think is normal, you rush to a doctor. And if that doctor tells you, don't worry, it's nothing, don't go into a tizzy, this chap is going to be okay, you know just tells you to dust the floor or probably give some kada or something, and you're off on this. You're so comfortable, the child is also comfortable. But herein the doctors don't know. You send your child to school, you expect the teacher to be a sort of a foster parent for the child, to watch out for the kiddo. And this kiddo is getting bullied, this kiddo is getting abused, this kiddo is holding on to bodily functions because you haven't made a place for him to go. Yeah, and all you are interested in telling me in the parent teacher meeting is that he's doing academically very well. What am I going to do with that degree? When my child was uncomfortable, was confused, my child did not have the courage to talk to me, or was being told that you better not talk to the parent, because the parent will not understand. Why has the child been given that kind of uh, a feeling? This is a feeling that we have transferred. This is not something that the child, you can't turn back and say कि तूने मेरे को क्यों नहीं पूछा. You should have asked me, I would have made you comfortable. No, sir. This is, you are party to this whole issue. You cannot hide behind something and say no. No, this is not what is not true. Unfortunately, it is true. But then I alone am not the party to this. The teacher is as much to blame. The doctors are as much to blame. You know how many people get cancer in this country? Something you should Google, right? And then you Google figures of people with diversity. Google another thing, Google how many people get heart attacks. And then revise and compare it with this figure that you have picked up. Take the lowest data point that you get and take the health budget and the social budget and say how much money do we spend on cancer care, how much money do we spend on cardiac care, and then ask how much money do you think we should be spending for diverse people to make them comfortable. Can we close our eyes and say, no, these figures are actually uh, not worth investing in? This is something which we now need to start asking and addressing. If we have this country which uh, has been so to say a free country for more than 7 decades, where is my center of excellence? Where is provision for me? Why do I have to give an interview to you? Or why do I need to do that? But I'm happy to do that, and I will continue doing this till I get these answers. Because this is another thing that I say, that we need to stand up and we need to ask these questions. We need to become allies. We need to do advocacy. We need to, uncover the eyes of people who have been blinded. And if you have been to a medical school wherein the entire teaching is binary, if you've been to a medical school where textbooks that you read, right, uh, talk about diseases, you know, and classify diversity as a disease, then how can you suddenly have a spiritual awakening and suddenly realize that okay, I'm going to be comfortable with diversity? So it has to start with the education system, with the people who are educating, with the policy with which they are educating, so that the minds which come up, they are molded in the right way. In fact, let us stop molding. Let us allow minds to flourish. And that is a vision of a progressive society. The Indian subcontinent was, and when I say Indian subcontinent, I'm talking about the time of pre these invasions which happened. We were already doing metallurgy, but what is surprising is that this metallurgy was used to make pots, not weapons. The invaders who came, they were using crude weapons. In this subcontinent, when we look at the history and evidence, we see cities, we see communities living together, we see sanitation systems which are in place, we see toys, we see pots and utensils. We don't see weapons. We see diversity which is celebrated. You have these figurines which people would, play with, and you have scriptures which would talk about, fine arts. You would talk about scientific explorations. You would talk about astronomy that was done. People knew the distance of the earth from the moon and the sun too. It was here that people were talking not about a flat earth, but about the planet as we now are trying to, reconnect. And our stories, the ones which we never felt the need to, document. Because why would I document that, I am sitting in a comfortable place where I have light and, I can switch it on or off at my will. It is so common for us. So when we have those kind of narratives which are not written down or which were written in a different way by people who documented these, uh, it it gives a twist to the the entire perception of what society has become today. I think all we need to do is believe the narrative, make the family comfortable, give care. The village Hakim would rarely give any medicine because human beings rarely need drugs. It is only 1% of people who require hospitals. The current figure which is coming out, and this is out of data which is coming from people who are seeking medical care, is about 4 to 5%. And there are other studies which say that diverse people may be more than 15% of the population. If you can build tertiary care centers for 1%, can you not look at a center for, let's not say 15%, let's say 4%? Would it not make sense to make more people comfortable? I think it does. And I think we need to start moving in this direction.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I get carried away, and I feel that we all need to do this.
yeah,
Something
yeah.
we have missed out. We need to do this.
Surely, surely. But just as as closing remarks, is there any message that you want to convey to the parents of a person, who might be in doubt of their gender identity or who is trans, identify as a trans person? So what would it be?
My message is very simple. It is believe your child. This is the child who you have brought into the world. Please make the child comfortable. Just do this. Rest will all follow. You don't require any manual to be read. You don't require any training, right? All that will happen automatically. If you make this child comfortable, then this child can do wonders. And remember, when this child was, you were waiting expectantly, how much you celebrated this child. Don't lose touch of that. You know, keep that very close to your heart. And if you allow me a second message, then the second message that I would give to the parents is that the only opinion which matters is the opinion which you have of yourself. The rest can be damned. It doesn't matter. Nobody is going to, whatever they may be saying, but when it comes to brass tacks, it is you who will be doing the stuff based on what opinion you have of yourself. So be kind to yourself. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sharma. It was a great, session. I really enjoyed, talking to you.
Thank you
And
so much. I tend to steamroll, but no, there's so much that needs to be done. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I was really excited to talk about ATHI and talk about solutions, because I think this day that is very special. This day we should be talking about solutions. We should be spreading hope. you know and I think that is very important. I'm blessed to be able to participate in this journey, and I hope I continue learning, I continue expanding my mind. um, yeah.
thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much. God bless you.